Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to join by the computer too, so I'll be there soon.
Hey. Hi, Mary.
Good morning.
Carol. Hi, Jacob.
Morning.
Hi, Diana.
Hello.
Good Friday.
Good morning.
So yesterday I had a family meeting on Zoom, you know, Jack's family, my husband's family, who's all over the place right now. And so that was my last meeting that was up. And so I've been sitting there for the last couple of minutes, just like, wow, no one's showing up today. Finally, I said, something's not right. This is a timely group. I checked and I was in my personal meeting room. So anyway, good morning. Fortunately, I noticed soon enough. Someone was saying something? No.
I was just asking how it went the other night, Wednesday night. You went to the film festival?
I did. I have been going to a lot of the film festival events. My husband, because my son is presenting a movie there. So he has all these tickets out. Hold on, my foot panel. And on Wednesday, I got to go see Benedict Cumberbatch speaking, and yeah, pretty cool. He's quite the, I don't know if American audiences know him as much by his name, but he's I think one of the best actors ever. Maybe do you guys see the newer version of Sherlock Holmes a couple of years ago?
It's Sherlock Holmes, and also he's in like the I forget Marvel or Avengers movies. Doctor Strange.
That's Doctor Strange, yeah. But that's his popcorn stuff, but his good movies are, yeah. Anyway, all right, everyone. I've got
Javier Bardem was terrific last night as well.
Actually, that's the only one we didn't get tickets to, and I love him.
Yeah, he was terrific.
I was hoping they gave us tickets to all of the events and awards, and not us, they gave him tickets. I happen to be the kind of mom that says I choose first which ones I go to with you, right? The ones I'm not caring about, you invite your friends, which is kind of, it's okay. Yeah, I still have that right. And but the only one they didn't give us tickets to was for Javier Bardem. I guess we could have gone, but I was actually also teaching, so it all worked out. Yeah, what an actor, Javier Bardem. Okay, guys, I have we had left a file in mid doing, so to say, last week. So if you have that out there somewhere, the one of we were working with the table that we were taking out of its background, remember?
Yes.
So if you have Bridge and Photoshop available, what I just noticed is that some people who don't have it or who missed the class might need to kind of be where we're at. So what I'm going to do is grab that file if someone does not have it, and I'm going to put it in our shared files. So I'm going to go get that right now. Where was it? I do not seem to have left it in the. Well, I'll go open Photoshop and it'll tell me where was the last one I used. Where did I use it last? So go ahead and make sure that you've opened that one. I believe, was there anyone who was not here? Anyone, you guys who did not work on it? I know some of you couldn't be here, but maybe you did it with the recording. I know Mary wasn't here or couldn't be here for a long time. Does anyone need it? If not, I won't go looking for it. For some reason, my Photoshop, which should be showing the last files worked with,
Might be me.
is not showing it. What's up?
I'm sorry.
did someone speak? No.
Yeah, my husband said you might see him.
Oh, okay. I looked up and I didn't see him, so I'm like, what might happen? I can't, okay, so let me show you what's happening. Usually when you open Photoshop, there we go. Then usually what you have here in the recents is the last few files that you've used. But the last ones that are showing up is 14 days ago, like somehow the ones that we worked on 7 days ago aren't there, and I can't find it in my drive either. Oh, I remember. Photoshop crashed. That's why Photoshop crashed at the end. And in fact, all of Friday it was a mess. I managed to teach the digital design techniques class, and it also crashed the last hour. And then when I went to see the reports at school, it said that, yeah, that VDI was having problems with people. So that's why it's not saved. Okay, not a big deal for me. Hopefully for you guys.
Diana, this is Karine. Good morning.
Yes,
I'm
good morning.
wondering, would you start us at an even level somewhere where you want to be, if you don't mind?
And even
I have no
level.
idea.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I'm gonna have to open it again and do it again, which will take me a second. And here it is. I'm gonna open the blue table, JPEG, because since I crashed, I don't have it. But all we had done was begin to select the blue table, right? And although I take a while explaining you the many ways to do it, it isn't something that'll take me a while to do it. And hopefully you guys have all finished selecting it. Is that, since that was the homework? But if not, if you haven't, then do this with me. And
what's the other image?
the other one was the watermelon table, the watermelon girl. I don't know what it's called.
Okay, and so right.
Watermelon down there.
I was with you last class, but I just want to know where we need to start.
Yeah, so we don't really need watermelon open right now, but just so that you all are clear, those are the 2 images we've been using, but we were working on this one. So up until now, I had shown you guys a couple of ways of selecting things. I just want to spend a little bit more time. Head over to File and make a new file in Photoshop, something we don't normally do. Normally we start in Photoshop with something that already exists. But at the end of the class, I was having you guys do something, and I noticed that I wanted a little bit of practice, and that's when we crashed and we didn't do it. So when you say file new, you'll get this whole new document thing, just wherever it's at, it doesn't matter. It should be at the same settings, just say create down here. Okay, so once again, what did I do? I said file new and then create. So by the way, I'm not taking you guys to the Padlet right now because there's only one thing put in there, which was a great, by the way. Well, I guess I could go to the Padlet and show you.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, you did some, let me just show this to you really quickly. And the Photoshop one, you did a lot of, oh, something got put in there this morning. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So I did check it this morning, early, but not this morning. So this is, Karine used the retouching tool to clean up. If you guys see in Bridge, his face is full of spots and zits of all types and kind. Okay. And so this is what she got by the end of it. So well done on that tool. And then here, I had not seen this one. So bad background and feathers for masking, and then you lightened it up. So I haven't had a chance to see it well, but look at, so if this is the original here with all these people taking photos, what a difference just the cropping that I'm seeing, and that here you're just looking at her versus here you have so much stuff around it. It's also been made darker, but that's about as much as I can see right now. So, oh, it looks like someone gave it a blur. I'll check it out. But what I would like is you guys to tell me who did it. Okay.
Me, Ed.
I did it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So when I saw the blur here is when I thought it was yours because I have not taught yet. And I'm like, okay, someone who has a little bit more experience. So anyway, I'll go back and see what else to do or say about it. But right now, does everyone have a blank file in front of them?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I wanted us to do. Head over to the rectangular marquee tool, which is the second one down. And if you don't see a rectangle there, maybe the last time you used it, you left a little circle there. So it's the circular marquee, it's the elliptical marquee tool. Basically, it's the little dotted line icon. And we're going to go ahead and click and drag to make a selection. Now,
Deanna, mine is black. I don't have a white page to work on. Why?
well, it must be because in the background here, when you created the new, you had it, when you say file new, one of the choices is to have a white or a black background.
Oh, okay.
Somehow you must have chosen black. The default is white.
Okay.
So I don't know why, but in fact, now that you say that, a black background might be a better idea for me to show you this. I had never thought of that because it's so hard to see these lines on white. So let me actually create one and see, can you see this line better? Yes, you can. So glad you asked that question because we're not going to really use this file for anything except for demoing right now and learning a little bit about this tool. So this shows you my selection better than the other one did. Okay. So I'm staying with this one, but you guys could stay with, I don't need you to make a different color, just that for showing it to you, the other lines weren't showing. In the past, these dotted lines were much bigger and they were easy, but now they've made them really, you know, less perceptible for better because you can see where that line goes, but it's also harder when I'm demoing it in a class because you don't see it as much. So good. When we select something, right, like this, that selection at this point can be moved if you put it in the wrong space. If you put your mouse right on top of the line, you could grab that and move it without it affecting anything that's underneath. Okay, that is a possibility. So that's the one thing that I don't know that I show you guys a lot. So you have to put your mouse right on it. And when the mouse looks like this little guy right there, ding, then you can click and drag it. But when you have something underneath, it's very easy to also make a mistake and drag the actual pixels. So right now, what I wanted to teach you is that when you make a selection, say that we select that table, then we might need to add to that selection or take away from that selection. So to add to the selection, if I try to make another little square, the first one disappears. And if I try to make another little square, the first one disappears. Okay, so in order to keep that from disappearing, you need to hold on the shift key and then you can make another selection. And now both stay there. And if when you make that selection, you overlap them in one way or another, then it just gets bigger. And if I now overlap these two, it gets even bigger. Okay, so that's how we add to a selection. So is everyone adding to their selection? Not only adding to their selection, but also adding another area. So now all of that is selected. And all I'm doing is I'm holding down the shift key. This is the same for everyone. I see some hands, but give me a second here. I'll show the opposite of this and then I'll answer questions. The opposite of this would be if I want to take away from this selection. So say that I want to make a little inroads in here. So I can hold down the option key, sorry, the option key for Mac people, the alt key for PC people. So see when I do that, how my mouse suddenly has a little minus on it right there. And now I can cut a little hole in there and dig into that place. I can make a little donut out of this one. And what's selected is the donut part. Okay, so that is taking away from your selection to get rid of stuff. So work with this for a second while I get some questions. Yeah, Ken?
Oh, my question was actually on the on on editing the table picture. So
We'll get back to it in a bit,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
can ask me there.
so I'll wait till you get back to there.
That's great. And Dorothy? I can't hear you. By the way, has everyone changed their names? The other day I noticed that, I believe it was Galaxy Tab who said, oh, I have to leave now, and left, and I never knew who Galaxy Tab was. And then in the roster, I don't know who to assign the attendance for Galaxy Tab. So the Galaxy Tab said, I am leaving, which is great, but I had no idea who you were all the time. And I see Galaxy Tab is there again. So can you please change your name or tell me who you are, and I'll change I can change your name for you. Okay, sorry. So Dorothy, I interrupted your question because while you were trying to, you still muted. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mhm.
I was just, this might answer my question, but I had done the two tables on the Padlet. There was one when I did the object selection, and then I couldn't add to it. And maybe this is how you're going to teach me.
Yeah, I answered you there. Right now they're separate, but here you were missing a leg, and then you showed this one where the leg was there, and I mentioned this is the correct one. I'll be teaching you now how to add or take away from selections. Yeah. But see,
Okay,
she
great.
posted this one, and it only has 3 legs, missing that little black back leg that was there. And so then she did this one where the leg was, there. And I had begun to show you how to select in between the legs, but then I noticed that what I'm teaching you right now was something I hadn't shown yet. So I'm showing you this now, and then we'll go back to that table. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and say Command or Control D, depending if you're on a PC or on a Mac. Control and then tap the D to get rid of that selection. And now I want you to do it, and this is where it gets a little bit more confusing for people, although it's exactly the same idea with the lasso tool, because this is a tool that we're going to need today. It's a selection tool, but it's a free-form selection tool, right? That's the only difference. So you get to make your own shape. By the way, those of you who are on VDI are having to use the control for the PC, even if you're using a Mac at home. So so when you make a shape, if you leave the, right here and let go, then it'll close itself in the quickest way that it finds the beginning, like that. So ideally, you'll close it yourself to take it to the beginning for it to let go. But the moment you let go, boom, it does this sharp thing. So say that you need to select something. You want to make a little circle around it to select that area. Then by the same token, when you want to add to it, you hold the Shift key. But see, and this is the part that when I have an image there, people forget, is that when you have to add something to this, you have to not only just do that, but close the circle, boom, and then it adds to that. Okay, so do this and then close that circle. Because if you just do, if you just do this to add it, boom, the circle closes itself without having gotten anything. So you need to close the circle once you're inside of the selection. Okay, so this is adding to a selection, okay? So remember, you can't just add by doing that, because that thing will close itself wrong. You really need to circle everything you want, because the inside stuff won't be affected. It's already selected, okay? All right, and then to take away from the selection, same thing, Alt or Option. And then once again, you have to make a circle. If you just try to get rid of this little bit like that and do that, it won't work. You need to circle what you want to get rid of. So you just want to circle it. You want to get rid of this little ear. You can't just do the ear. You have to do the whole thing. Okay. All right. So you can also get rid of stuff that's in the middle of the selection and stuff like that. And then when you click away, it all disappears. That's just leftovers from VDI. All right. So did that work? Was everyone able to add and take away from their selection?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're going to be using that. So we don't need this anymore. I'll leave it up for a bit in case I have to come and give another demo or something. But let's get back to the blue table. All right. So the majority of you, whoa. Is everyone okay? I heard a big noise there. If you're not speaking to me, yeah, mute yourself if you have things in the background, okay. Okay. Let me. I think Sue, you're saying some to me, but I can't tell what you're saying. It says tablet, can I download your fixers? I don't understand your question.
Okay.
And you're writing just to me, so no one sees it. Same with this, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, you fixed one of my pictures on the tablet. Can I download it?
Oh, I believe so. Which one?
The skiers. That's what I misspelled.
Oh, that's
skiers.
the one. Oh, because you weren't here the other day. I mentioned that I had worked on this one. Yeah, you can. And in fact, if you click on this one, this was an example where I checked on PSD, which is a layered file. You can upload it, but other JPEGs, when you click on them, they show you themselves, right? And this was her original. But what I did when I loaded a PSD, when you click on a PSD, all it does is ask you if you can download. So yeah, you can download it.
So what did you click first on the PSD?
Nothing. You just click the image, but it doesn't show itself. It just tells you, do you want to download it?
Oh, okay.
Or it just downloads. It doesn't let
Okay.
you see it. That's all. Which is,
Okay.
I wanted to show you guys the changes between this one and that one. And I just did it really quickly. There's much more work to do with the cracks, but if you download that one, you can keep working with it yourself.
What causes the cracks? I mean, there's thousands of them on that, and that's the first time I've ever come up with it.
Well, this is probably, yeah, it's the print has got crackled with time. It's old.
Yes, it is old.
Yeah. No, but meaning it might have been left out in the sun, or it might have been in a
Oh, okay.
frame. I mean, it's just, have you not, I've seen many prints that are
Yeah,
crackled
yeah,
like that.
this print is 60 years old, so.
Yeah, so that's all it was. But so I used the retouching tool to help get rid of a lot of these cracks, but also I worked with the color. I don't know if you can see, I guess you see how I worked with color and stuff in there to get that well. And
Okay.
then I went and started deleting some of the cracks. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, Diana?
Yeah.
This is Ken. Now that we're on this table and we just did the lasso tool,
Yeah.
the problem I was having trying to do that, the little part of the table was, if I wasn't able to close the lasso tool, and so I didn't get to the point where I could do the Control D. So how, if I'm just got a mess of lines, how do I just say, delete that or something like
So
that?
when you say not close the lasso tool, you just close it by going back to where you started? I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, but I couldn't quite get back to where I started.
Well, if you don't get back to where you started, a line will form itself. It will always close itself. Maybe you're talking about this other tool that we use, the polygonal lasso tool. Okay, this
That
is
was
the
it, yeah.
that was it. So yeah, so if you guys still have this extra sample one, I remember now that I did show you this tool for the legs, and this one is the one where, okay, so let me start again. When you I need to go up and down because otherwise it doesn't clean that line. When you click on the lasso tool and hold tight, you get the polygonal lasso tool. I remember that's the one we were using at the end.
Right.
Then when you click, it comes out like a little spider web, and you click
Right.
again and you click again.
Right.
In
right.
this case, you do have to finish it yourself. Otherwise it won't work. So if you can't find it, I believe there's a shortcut to force it. If you can't find the end because it's a complicated, leave background or something. I'm trying to remember what the shortcut might be. Yeah, there we go. I hit Control and it found the end. So I did like this, and now I hold down the Control or Command key and click, and it finds the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Okay.
guys, go back if you still have this new, or make a new one again. This is what we used for the little shadow in between the leg of the table, which you
Right.
click around. And if for some reason you can't find where you started, if you can find it, you need to put your mouse right there and you get that little circle there, then it closes itself. But if for some reason you can't find it, you're there, you're near, and you just can't get it, hold down the control key and click, and that'll finish it up. The other thing that is, if you're in the middle of using it and you don't like what you did, you can undo like the last click, right? But if not, actually, it's not undoing that last click. It should be able to undo the last click. Huh. Control Z is not undoing that last click. But the way to get out of this without finishing it, you have to start all over again. It's hitting the escape key. Okay, if you hit the escape key, it goes away. For some reason, this leaves that little line there of redrawing, which is bugging me. So don't do that. Come on, please don't mess up. Please don't mess up my. Don't do that. There we go. Where are all my tools? Come back. There we go. That was weird. All right, so back to the blue table. So I had told you guys to do a selection, right? A select subject. This is what we had done last time. And at that point, I had made, I had taught you guys about layer masks, remember? Where we clicked down here and we got a layer mask separating this from the background, right? Is that where we were?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we were a little bit further ahead in that I had told you guys to use this, this tool, the one that I just showed you, and we had given it a little feather, I believe. How many pixels had we used? 3 pixels.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had given it a 3 pixels, and then we went in and created this little box. And then is that where we were? Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
then here we had hit the delete key again. Okay.
I want to be there. I was there. Can you walk me through the layer and adding, please? I have the blue table.
Yeah. So what do you mean the layer and adding the layer mask?
Right
You
here.
mean?
Yeah. Just repeat it once more, please.
Okay. So just click on this little.
On what? What?
Okay. See, let me put them annotate.
I don't know.
Spotlight. I know I'm putting in a little spotlight on my mouse. So once you have the selection, right, then you go down to these little icons that appear under your layers. Okay. And then the one that looks like the Japanese flag, the rectangle with a circle, you click it once and that's your layer mask.
The Japanese what?
Rectangle with a round circle in the middle.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
You can't see that when you do your arrow.
I'm trying.
So for some reason, some people don't see the bottom layer of my window, which is
I
bizarre.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't,
I don't either.
which is bizarre because I'm sharing the entire window. But anyway, on the bottom of the layers panel, there's a whole little row of icons, okay? And if you come from the left, there's one that looks like a little chain link, then an FX, and then there's a rectangle with a circle inside. That is the one. And if you hover over it, it says add layer mask. That's the one you need. Did you find it now? Did
Yes.
you find it now, Corinne? Well,
No, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I'm really trying hard here.
so just
God.
calm yourself, go Zen, go to your layers tab where you have your blue icon, and
Well,
then
Wait, the problem is I switched screens. I didn't select this corner yet. Did you use the lasso for that?
no, right now, okay.
We're
We're in this moment. Have you already, you still have the background, right?
No, I had it. Just quickly tell me that one. I need the background. Yeah, I need that. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
there.
So the selection I made was with the selection tool. You go to this, any of these tools, objects, quick selection, whichever one of those you're in, and then click on the select subject. I don't mind. This isn't just for Corinne, but it just reminded me, I don't mind repeating when I'm teaching something, but if I've taught it this last week and you didn't get it, please watch the recording to get the same spot. Now, if the recording didn't work, I'm happy to explain again. So do you see the object or quick selection tool that's over here? Yeah, on the left side.
It's
Okay,
fine. Go
Then
ahead.
up here, no, I'm doing this for you. So please focus on what I'm saying. I don't want these fine. I want you to do what I'm saying. Get the fourth tool. And if you have a double layered tool like this, then it's this one over here on, I don't know which kind of tools you have. If you have it double layered, then it's this one. If you have it in the simple row, it's the fourth one. And it could be that it looks like this. Just get that tool. The shortcut for it, otherwise hit the W. And then, do you see select subject up here?
Yes.
Click select subject.
Mine says this will discard your current selection.
That's fine. I don't know what you have selected, but this should work.
All right.
Right now, you're trying to do the main layer mask. So this is what we were doing with the main layer
Okay.
mask.
Okay.
Then go to where you have your layers over here. See, my mouse is way in this area now.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, you guys stop seeing my mouse. I don't know why, but down at the bottom of this panel, you see a series of icons. And down there of that row, starting from left to right, it's the third one. It looks like a rectangle and it's got a black circle inside.
Okay.
You click on that one time and then you get your layer mask.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Cool. So now, the next thing I did is I approached. So with Command or Control plus, you can get closer to this Command or Control plus, and then hold down the space bar and drag yourself down. And I began to show, and I'm going to go a little bit bigger, and I began to show how to start taking some of this out, that wall that we still don't want. And this is when I had people use the polygonal lasso tool, the one that we just practiced on in the other page. Okay. And then up here, I gave us a 3-pixel feather just to soften the line a little bit of our selection. And then you can say, click as near as you can to this, and notice that I click down here in the black. I don't go right to the edge. I go all the way down here to the black and then down into the black and then up again when I'm close enough. And if I can't find the place I started, just hitting the Control key will make it go to the beginning, Control or Command. And now I have a little selection of this bar. Now this is the part where we had to hurry, and I wanted to explain a bit more the whole black and white thing for the mask. But what I had you guys do at this point was I asked you to make sure that you had white in the background down here. So watch where I'm going. Left, where you have these two colors. Now don't click on them. And I make this point because everyone immediately clicks on one of them, boom. And as soon as you do that, which I don't want you to do, you get the color picker. So say cancel if you get the color picker. You don't want that. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have black and white, but you want to have it the other way around. You want to have the white in the bottom. So this double-headed arrow right there is what you click to get the white and the black to switch. Once you have the white in the background, now you can hit your delete key in your keyboard and it's the other way around. I'm sorry, you need the black in the background. I apologize. Looking at the mask here, and what you don't want to see is black and what you want to see is white, right? So when you delete, you need to delete into black. So I apologize, I got that wrong. Make sure that you get the black in the background and then hit your delete key, and that gets rid of that little bit. So this is just getting us to where we were before, I'm going to hit the space bar and have us move up to where we have all these little bits and pieces. I'm going to control minus. So those of you who are still where we left the image last week, then we still have these little jutting out bits of stuff, right? So let's make sure that we get rid of them. And one thing I haven't shown you yet is how to use the black and white to affect a mask. And over there, I had you guys do that little leg, but there's a bit more to it. So if you guys did open the watermelon JPEG, say that you did that. If not, go open it. Let me show you some stuff here in this watermelon JPEG about how to use the black and white for masking. Okay, so if you haven't yet, please go to Bridge and open the watermelon JPEG, which is at the very, very bottom of all of our, because it's with a W.
Before we get there, could I ask a question?
Yeah.
On my left-hand side where I have all the icons to pick, for some reason now I don't have the black and white window.
It's possible. It's possible that it goes farther down out of sight, in which case go over to this little tiny arrow, double-headed arrow that's at the top of the move tool, and click on that, and then you'll see all your tools depending on the resolution of your screen, and then you'll see it. So for some of you guys, the tools resolution is so long that it shows way down there, and that's the solution to get your double-headed tool. Now, when I show a tool, you'll have to figure out, because in they go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that in comparison to these. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just showing you that. Okay.
Now that I have the white over the black, I was able to, and then what's the next step that I'm supposed to do?
Once you have the white over the black, hit the delete key of your keyboard.
Okay.
Hit the delete key.
Okay.
And then you should see some black. But now, instead of having that be a magical, because I told you to do it, I'm going to explain you why that delete key gave you that space. So that's why I want us to use the watermelon image to actually teach you that, which we just did because I told you to. And I don't like having you do things because I tell you to, because then you don't understand what's happening. And so now I want to explain to you what's happening there. All right. So let's head over to this image right here. And we're going to use it as an example. We're going to do the same thing we did before, guys. So we're going to, and by now everyone should be with me. Everyone should be doing this. We're going to head down to the quick selection tool or the object selection tool, any of these three. It doesn't matter which, because when you click on this one, you get that select subject. For those of you who want to try out your select object, do that too. At this point, I don't want a perfect selection. In fact, I want, like the blue table, a selection that we need to keep fixing. So in this case, when I say select subject, interestingly enough, it got me arms and a watermelon. I was expecting it would get me the whole woman, but it didn't. So that's pretty bad. But it doesn't matter, because my point is I want to teach you how to fix a mask. So whatever it is that your select subject gives you, that's good. And I will now have us do that same layer mask. So all I did is click select subject one time. There's a selection around some part of her, depending on if you have the newer version or the older version. And if you did select object, you might have a better selection of her. But I want a bad selection, right? So I don't care. And now we're going to go and add a layer mask. What did a layer mask do? Do you remember? A layer mask. When you add a layer mask, what happens to the image?
Protect.
What's that? Nope, doesn't protect it.
It's going to mask what's not selected. It's going to hide.
It's going to hide, exactly. So let's go click on that layer mask, which is when I come down here and you guys don't see it, it's this down here, the same one I've been pointing to, which is the third from the right, and it's the rectangle with the white circle. And so it hides everything that's not selected, just as we just heard Mary say.
Jana,
And-
may I ask a question?
Of course.
My, I get the not allowed sign when I try to create a layer mask.
All right, so I'm wondering what you might have selected. Usually it'll be some selection.
See if his original layer is locked.
But if your original layer is locked, in this case, it would still work because it unlocks it to add that. So maybe you need to share your screen so that I can see what's happening. Good point, but the act of creating that layer mask unlocks the layer. So Thomas, can you please share your screen? All right, so let me try to figure out what's happening here. I need to make this bigger. All right. So where are your tools? Oh, you have the floating window. Okay. No, that's fine. Go into Photoshop. Just that your window, your watermelon lady isn't docked inside of your tools. And so that's why I was looking for where the windows are, which is a way to work. I just didn't want to. So now you don't have a selection around her yet. You have just a couple of loose. So say Command or Control D. What are you, in a Mac or in a PC?
Mac.
You're in a Mac. So say Command D to get rid of this tiny little circle that you have. Good. And now go back up to oh, because you're still using your this is CS6 or 5, right? Yeah. Okay. So then the best you can do is use your quick selection tool. Yeah. So you're in the right one, but now you have to make it bigger. So make yourself a bigger tool than those 30. So you can do your bracket keys, or you can go up there where it says you have a very tiny tool. So it's not going to work. So you need to make yourself a much bigger. Yeah, there you go. And now just to start kind of drag it across her body without touching the stuff that's in the background. So click and drag. Yeah. And now go down over her watermelon and into her skirt. No, yeah, keep going a bit more. Yeah, click there, and now click ideally her skirt. We're gonna, yeah, a bit more. Okay, that's good, but bad enough, because that's equivalently bad to mine, meaning we don't have her. Now go and do the select the layer mask. By the way, guys, just so you see, this is a CS5, which is about 10 years old now, version of Photoshop or more. And can you see how you can recognize a lot of the similar things? Some of the real basic tools are the same, just a lot of the fancy stuff that it does for you. The artificial intelligence is missing, so to say. But yeah, click. I'm waiting for you to click. Your mouse is in the right place. Oh, it's telling you it can't. Oh, well, maybe now you are right. Since this is CS5, Ed might be right here. Go and see. I don't know, but go and see if you can unclick the little lock that's on the background. So this might be, yeah, click on the background on the right side. There's a little like, no, go back to your layers, all the way to your layers. Yeah, that little lock on the right side. Yeah, click on that to unlock it. Just, you're clicking and nothing's happening?
Nothing is happening.
So try again.
Locked. What does he have to the left of the image on that layer? I don't recognize that.
That's an eyeball.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's the old, it's old eyeball, yeah.
The old eyeball, okay.
Yeah, so maybe you can right click and unlock. Let's see, go not to there, but to the, yeah, right, go up there and say right click and unlock. Why can't you unlock that layer?
There's a lock at the top, no?
No, but that's to relock it. It's grayed out right now. Go ahead and duplicate the layer then. Go ahead and say, you're gonna have to see Control D to get rid of your selection. And now duplicate that layer. So you can do a right click, duplicate, because it was letting you do that. Duplicate layer. I don't even know if Command J worked at that point. Say okay. good. And now go ahead and select something, her watermelon. Just go and grab something of the middle of her body. Yeah, and now go back to see if you can put a layer mask in there. Yeah, okay, so now the reason you don't see it is because the eyeball on the background is off. So go turn the eyeball of the actual background layer, the old one that we left behind, turn it off. So there's an eyeball there, get rid of it. And now you're in the same place we are. Okay, I just, so Ed was totally right. In CS5, you can't unlock, well, no, we couldn't unlock it anyway. But anyway, you're there, you're where we are. Okay, so I'm gonna stop your share. Cool.
So Diana, I got a question.
Yeah.
You and I both have the same image up. We both hit select subject, and yet we got different answers off of what it found.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Each time you make Photoshop analyze an image, it can come up with a different solution. So sometimes doing the same thing over and over again is actually necessary. It's not a exact situation. When you select, you might have your image moved over by half a pixel, who knows, whatever the reason is. But when you click on select subject, different things happen. Oh, also you're working on 2022 and I'm working on 2021. And 2022 has a better select subject than 2021.
Ah, okay.
So there's just different reasons. But whenever you run these kind of things, I constantly, and I would see that in class when I had, 24 computers at my disposal, that I'd have people do the exact same thing. And Photoshop would come with a slightly different solution sometimes to these automatic buttons. But in this case, it's the different version. I'm sure it makes it even better, more different. All right. So everyone has a piece of the watermelon girl and some of the background gone. Yeah, you're all there with me?
Yes.
Okay, so now the reason I want you to do this here is to learn how to fix our masks. Because remember, here in the blue table, we have to fix this mask. This mask here is not, didn't work automatically, and it didn't take out all the stuff we don't need because it doesn't know what it needs. It gives you a good idea. And so once you have a mask that's bad, like this one, how do you fix it? So a couple of you last week, I showed you the mask and you wanted to see it. And I said, I'd teach you that today. So here I am teaching you this today. First of all, let's see this mask. Normally, we don't need to see it except for when we're learning. And today I'm teaching you about masks. So in order to see this mask, you can hold down, and I always get it wrong when I'm on the PC. So it's the Alt or Option key, PC, because on VDI, I'm on a PC. Hold down the Alt or Option key and then give a quick single click to the mask. All right, so this is exactly the same thing you're seeing here in small, right? It's just the mask. And sometimes when you want to see the image again, you hold down the Option key and you click on the mask again, and then you see it as it used to be. So Option or Alt, click to see the mask, click to not see the mask, okay? Now, let's go back to click to see in the mask. Let's analyze this. We have either it's there or it's not there. And again, we all have different shapes. We have different ways that our image got selected, but they're all wrong. So here on the left with black is everything that we're not seeing anymore. Here in white is everything that we are seeing. What do I mean by that? We are seeing her arms and her and the watermelon, but we're not seeing this background. Okay, so black is hiding everything and white is letting me see. Okay, so what that means that if I were to grab a brush, okay, so there's so many brush looking things here that the best way to grab the brush is to hit the letter B from the keyboard, and then you get the correct brush. You might be getting other brush looking things. So hit the B on the keyboard and that gives you a brush. Now, that brush, if you have it really tiny, really big, go ahead and make it big enough that you can actually see it. If not, if you head up here, you can move it this way or that. But if not, you can use your key, how do you call it? Your
Command.
bracket keys that are next to the P. Okay, you can do that. All right. And so now with this brush in hand and with a big enough circle, I am going to do some painting. So what kind of painting I'm going to do depends on these two black and white colors. If the foreground is white, I'm going to paint white. If the foreground is black, I'm going to paint black. So if I paint white or black, what will happen is I will reveal or hide some part of the image. So say that right now, what I have is white. So say that I start painting some white right here. Oh, important. Up here under opacity, you should have for now for learning 100%. So if you had anything else here, for some of you guys, I've taught you about reducing this in some other image. Go to 100% flow. I think this is the default smoothing. So make sure you have 100% here. Okay. So now if I were to click and drag and paint some white in the middle of this area, I have a very soft brush. As you can see, hardness 0%. So it's a very soft, fuzzy brush, right? So I painted some white in here. If I instead have a very hard brush, I'm gonna paint a very, very sharp line, okay? So that's the fuzziness of my brush. Somewhere in the middle is this little in between. All right, so now I painted white in different areas. Let's see what that did. Let's see what that's gonna do if I now do Option and click here on my mask. So those areas where I painted white, I am now seeing through to the background. Is that working for you? Hi, Alan.
Hi, I have a question that may be
Yeah.
a slight digression, but
No, well,
right now I have the part that's visible on.
Mhm.
I would like to export a separate image of just the visible part without it being dependent on the original that it came from.
mhm.
Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, we can do that. But when you do that, you can't fix it anymore. That piece is that piece. But let me get to that. But one way you can do it is just copy that and paste it into a new file, for example. That's one example.
Yes.
But that's that area that's selected. But let me first finish with the black and white brush, which I know
Okay.
that you already know, but others people don't, and then I'll get to
Okay.
that. So you guys see how by painting on my mask with white, now it's equivalent to the watermelon part. I'm seeing it only with this brush that was fuzzy. It's a very gradual shift. This which was half fuzzy, it's still gradual. It was half hard. And this one that was very sharp, it's a very sharp circle. And it looks like I painted a black circle, but no, that's just that black background. So what I did is I painted some white, and now I am seeing that stuff. Okay. Now let's go back to that mask and do the opposite. Let's shift this to the black. And I like to shift this to the black instead of using this key right here. I like to just use the X key, and I hit the X key and it goes black, white, black, white, black, white. So now I'm going to put black in the top. And remember, if by mistake you click here, and this happens all the time, you can't keep working. You have the color picker. You need to cancel the color picker before you can keep working. So now I put black in top, and I'm going to go ahead and cover the areas that I had painted white. Okay, so I'm just going to redraw over the areas that I had painted in white with black. So that's all I'm doing right now. And when I go and check and see what's happening, I don't see that stuff anymore. Okay, so black or white affect the image in that it shows or doesn't show in my mask. Now here's the deal. I'm going to take a much more subtle brush, a smaller brush, and I'm going to go slightly harder, not too much harder, maybe 65%. We're going to learn. And now I want you guys to do the same thing, you know, make a black, a white streak here and there. But now what I want you to do it is without seeing the mask anymore. I want you to do it this way. What I mean by that is I want you to paint with that white in the image without seeing your mask, and you're beginning to reveal. It doesn't need to be such a small tool. You're beginning to reveal the image. And then to hide this image, you shift to black down there, and now you hide. Okay, so we can paint black and white without seeing our mask. If we're seeing our mask here, it would be impossible to know how to cover or uncover her skirt, right? Because we're not seeing her skirt. So if we go into the real world, all we need to know is that we're using a brush and that we're using the right color. So if I'm using white, I know that I will begin to see her skirt right here.
Reveal.
And when I suddenly get to the edge, oh, I didn't want to see the background, right? So I can paint over here because I did want to see her skirt. So I'm creating the mask myself. I can get a bit bigger and I can uncover all of her skirt. And then when I get to the place when I begin to uncover some grass as well, I know that I have to fix that by what do you think I should do over there? So here I'm gonna uncover her body, right? But now to fix the grass that I see or that space between her arms, what I need to do is I need to go to black. First, I need to make a much smaller brush, right? Because I can't, if I try to paint with black here, it's too soft of an edge. See how I'm hiding the skirt again. So I go from black to white and white to black. But you need to make sure that your brush isn't too hard or too soft. So you're too big or too small. So
What
now
size is your brush right now?
I don't want to give a number. The number's up here always, but I'd rather you look at it visually to see what works for you. That's why I don't want to give a number, because each time your brush is going to have to change to something else. Okay. So depending on the moment and the space that you're in and the, so now you can go around and give it a little brush like that to fix that. Now, ideally, this is, see how I cut off a lot of her skirt there. You Control Z. It's not that easy to do, especially with a mouse, right? But this is the way to fix a mask. So ideally, you don't go in big spurts. You go in small spurts. You try and you pick up your mouse and you try again. Because say I do this long line and I do it wrong, when I do an undo, I have to get everything back, right? So ideally, I'll go in smaller bits, and or you can also do better if you had a pen instead of a mouse. So one thing I use for Photoshop is a pen tool. It's a Wacom tablet. I'm actually using it, and it's as if you're better with a pencil or a pen, then this is going to work better than if you had a mouse. All right, but right now, if you don't have it, do the best you can with your mouse. So right now I'm back to using my mouse, right? And then if you go too far, you change that again to black, and then you go in there and you fix it. So my goal here was to show you how powerful black and white are. Okay, not to get the perfect masking of this lady because we don't really want her masked. Then you can get smaller in here and kind of get rid of the stuff that's in between her arms. But as you can see, this doesn't do a very good job, right? So a better job is to use some of the original tools, and then like the automatic tools, and then try to fix it to make it better. So I would have kept trying with the quick selection tool here before doing that bad mask that I did. But this is the way to fix it. Now, that is what happened with the blue table. But let me show you what happened with the blue table. I'm going to undo and get rid of a lot of these corrections that I did, and that little leg that we got rid of in the blue table. Remember that one there? What we did, I asked you to check on what was the background that you had here. Okay, because what I wanted us to do, let me actually bring a little bit of this back. I went a little bit too far in getting rid of that. Somewhere over there. Going back into my history. Okay, so this is what I had us do. We had a piece of the table that we didn't want. So now we're going to treat this as if this piece of the skirt is what I don't want. I had you guys select a piece of leg, right? That's kind of what we did. And then I told you to hit delete. If you hit delete, whatever you delete is going to go the color of your background. So if I hit delete right now, what's the color of my background color?
Black. White.
White.
White. It's white. So if I hit delete here and this paint white, what's going to happen to her skirt?
White.
If
White.
this paints white,
Nothing.
nothing, because I already have white on her skirt. So in order to hide this, I have to have black in the background right there. So
Oh,
I
jeez.
switch this to black. Now that I have black in the background, if I hit the delete key, the skirt disappears because I put a little patch of black in there. So the delete functions as if you were painting with a brush for a sharp thing like this, which we did. And so I painted a little brush of black in there, but I did it by first selecting it. So that's what the black or white was. When I told you here, I said, make a little space in here and hit the delete key. I was asking you to basically paint some black in that area. Sorry, paint some black in that area, which is what we just did. Or make a little selection in here in this area and then switch the background to white and hit delete. And then you see some background because you're basically painting white or black. Okay, so that's what I was asking you to do. Okay, there's some really some weird noises. Lisa, you just joined us. Do you have the sound on both of your things? Because I'm hearing this little reverb. Okay,
No, I don't, but
there's
I'll-
enough hands up that I'm going to start getting some questions. Meanwhile, practice with this lady with the brush or with his deletes to uncover, and cover depending if you have black and white. And then we're going to use that, which we just learned, to go to the table and keep covering and uncovering what we want and don't want. All right, so Alan, you
Yes.
wanted to know how to disconnect her to take her somewhere else.
Yeah,
I'm not-
I tried the way you suggested and it worked fine, except I had to create a new blank, to paste it, I pasted it into a new blank image file.
Blank file or put it in on top of some other file. So cool.
I could add it to some existing.
So some
file.
existing thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it. And then I'll tell you what I told him. He knows more at this point. He knows more about Photoshop. So just saying that he was to do it, but I don't want to show everyone that yet because I want to first get this done. So Rashmi.
So a couple different things. One is, why would we do this color shading when we can get much more accuracy with the quick selection tool and with the, adding and deleting from that selection?
Yeah.
Because I was able to get the table perfectly with that. Also, the girl with a quick object selection, I could get the girl completely as I wanted.
So here's the deal. Great question. The better that the automatic selections get, the easier it is to not have to know this. But my point, what she's saying is, if I can just use all of these quick selection tools, object or quick or the objects in there, if you can get the table perfectly well, why bother having to do all this work that we're doing, right? Well, because however good those tools get, and they are getting way, way better, but there's always something that doesn't really completely work, especially in the fuzzy areas, right? In the areas where there's a hair or small details, or it's just, if the automatic tools don't work, your only solution is to fix the mask. And these are the tools to fix the mask. So sometimes you might want to add a little bit or take a little bit off. And how will you do that? You will have to grab a little bit of something that's missing, like maybe a little thing right there, and add to the mask is like the mask. And then what do? So say that I wanted to get rid of this without a brush, but I could just select this area. And then how do I handle that? Well, I need to know whether I fill with black or with white, right? So there you go. And of course, what I just did is not good, but you need to understand masks to be able to work with masks. And so what we just did is understanding a mask. One thing I haven't shown you yet is when you have something that's fuzzy that needs to be cut, you need to change the fuzziness of your brush, right? So if I want to do this right over here, if I look at the original image, and by the way, if you want to look at the original image, you hold down the shift and click on your mask, and this is the original image. If I were to have an image this isn't one of them, but there's images that are fuzzy against the background. Maybe even here is a bit more like it, but it's harder to get a good selection. I would have to find one where the blur is very big, and then you really have to choose yourself because the computer might not choose where you want it to choose. So you need to know about painting white or black on a mask to fix it. The hope that masks are always perfect is not so. There's so many images. I'm always bringing relatively simple images here, but there's so many images. The subject and quick selection and all those things don't pick. So you first would not have done what we did here. You first would, you are right, have done the best you could at selecting all of this to the best of your abilities, doing that mask, and then you only have a couple of little things left to fix, okay? So here I went out of my way to make a bad selection, so we all had a lot to learn about black and white. But no, first you would definitely do your very best to get most of her the right way with all the selection tools available to you. And then you do your mask, and then you only have a few details to fix. But the details that need to fix are still by adding white or black. Or, and this is where I want to say, or you might need to add 50%. So when I first came upon this tool, you're going to be, you're going to notice that I said you have to go here at 100%. So this here is my tool at 100%, gives me pure white except for my edges. Look what happens if I have my tool at 50%-ish. Then I get a slight transparency. And what that means is what's this gray here? Well, let's see when we actually see it in the image. I am seeing transparency now. That's a bit of a background, and it's a bit of the skirt. Is some of there, some is not. And this option of using your brush with different levels of opacity is what's going to let you retouch anything under the rest of the world. Like we're going to be using this brush tool with opacity to add and take away from shadows and things like that all across the board. So understanding black and white on mask is identical to understanding the brushes. So like now while I'm speaking and answering other people's questions, go with your brush and change the opacity. Okay, change it to 50%. And now where there's white, paint with black and put in one swath and then start to overlap them and see how they build upon each other. So in the areas that they're overlapping, suddenly it's 50. If I keep overlapping, I keep getting darker and darker and darker. See the areas that overlap and how different it works until I can get to pure black at the middle, but they build upon each other, right? So if I were to do this big in one mouse click, once I let go of my mouse, when I do this again, that's another mouse click, then it doubles up. It's painting on top of that. And then when I click again, that's painting more. When I click again, that's painting more. So then this is more like a gentle, area that slowly transfers in and out. See how that watermelon isn't there in some places? Okay, so, and of course, the way we truly use this opacity many times is that a lot of tools have to be really subtle. So you'll work with them at 5% and you'll gently start making something appear by going over and over. And this isn't like this is constant painting. It's one layer of 5%, but unclick and click again, unclick and click again, unclick and click again. That slowly helps you build a shadow in an area where you want some subtle shadows under someone's eyes, inside of someone's eyebrows, inside of, someone's forehead. You just subtly use 5%, 5%, 5% until you finally get, to the kind of thing that you want. And it's click, 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 click that builds a very soft and realistic kind of profile versus these sharp lines. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I'm trying to get you guys to know. So keep practicing as I keep answering questions. This is this mask is only good for us to practice. There's no sense in it other than practice. So play around, do this kind of stuff with it.
So Diana, I have a follow-up to that. I did the selection and I got the girl out. Now my background is transparent. I have the layer, but my background is transparent. I'm trying to do the brush and it won't work on mine.
You probably still have a selection, so you have to undo your selection.
It does. No, I don't have a selection. How do I?
Are you in the mask?
I am in the mask, yes.
And you are using black or white in the right places and nothing is happening?
Because I don't have a background anymore. Is that why? Because it's a transparent background now. Because
Well, I have a transparent background too, but I can still bring it back in or out. So I'm not sure what you're saying. Go ahead and share your screen. Guys, the stuff that I'm teaching you today, even though it seems like we're taking forever, this is that like real basic important stuff you need to have to really understand how to manipulate images. So you made your background, you made your woman, but unless you want to mess it up, you won't learn. So you need to mess it up. You need to grab a brush and paint white on the transparent area to see it, black on the woman to see it. You have a 13-point like brush, so it's so tiny that there's, you know, it's almost impossible. So there you go. So now, there you go. Now it might look black, but what you're seeing is that green underneath. It's the green trees that she had there. And now go in front of her skirt and paint black, and then you'll go to transparent. Okay, so my goal, we're never going to cut her out of her background. We're going to get rid of this layer mask. This is to teach you guys how to use this tool. So but what she said is she made this perfect mask of this person, right? So why bother? Well, I would venture to say that this mask still has a whole bunch of black rim all around her edges that you might, with your brush, go and fix, or there's other tools for fixing it, but you might want to try and see. Or for example, all the hair between her arm has been cut off. And so you might want to try with a tiny little brush to be a bit more subtle. And you know, that little hair that's falling between her waist and her elbow on the right side. So with black and white and a very thin brush, you can do a much better job there. All right. Cool.
Deanna, just a quick question. How would flow figure into this?
Flow, can you go up and show what he's saying up there next to opacity that it says 100%? To the right, do you see what I'm talking about? Yeah, to the right of opacity, it says flow.
Sorry,
Yes.
the screen controls for Zoom keep coming. Hold on.
Oh, that's fine. But you guys see it right
opacity.
there. So flow is, if you have a pen like mine, you can control how much, instead of having to change that opacity to 100% or 100 or a lot. It doesn't work with a mouse really well. So if you don't have a graphic palette, leave it at 100%. But it kind of imitates the same as opacity. So it's like, which one to use, opacity or flow? So just keep it always at 100 and just use opacity.
Okay.
When you have a pen, then you can press harder or not press harder, and flow where changes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, cool. Maysan, your question?
Can I show my screen? It just, my brush doesn't work.
Go ahead.
Let's see.
By the way, everyone who's watching should be doing like really messing up this image, in the sense that you should be really playing around, trying to make everything black, make everything right, try to paint it in, like actually learn these tools, use opacity, try and see if you can cut around the hair, like practice. Yeah, so Maysan, what was your question?
See, my brush, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter how I do it. I don't know what happened. It's the only thing I'm curious about is something here is still moving.
That's it. Okay. So you guys see, can you look at her screen? See how, can you point again to that thing that's moving? See that little thing there that's moving? Guess what that is?
Selection.
Anytime something is moving, that's the marching ants. The marching ants are a selection, right? So when you have something selected, any correction only works within that selection. So everything she's doing is useless because the only place that's going to work is inside of that one little pixel that she picked up probably when she was using the quick selection tool. So you have to, whenever something is not working, you know how the first thing I said to her, you probably have something selected. And I said that first to Rashmi or to whoever shared before, and they said yes or no. Because there's a selection, then it looks as if nothing's working because everything is working only inside of that teensy little dot. So you need to undo your selection, which is Command or Control D, and learn that one by heart, just like Command Z, which is undo. The next thing you should learn by heart is the Command D.
Oh, okay, it worked now.
Because forever, things don't work when something is selected, and you don't even know you've selected it. You just brushed with a selection tool and one pixel got selected. This was more than one pixel. Had it been one pixel, you wouldn't even have seen that little selection line shining. So in case there's something selected, the first solution if something's not working is Command D, Control D. And then if it starts working, that's all it was. You had a selection. So it needs to be like the first thing you do across. Someone's making noise in the background. There's like dishes or something. Can you all mute yourselves unless you are talking to me or if you're alone, because it's really hard to have all that stuff and I'm yelling louder and louder, and I don't notice I yell louder until I finally notice I'm yelling, and then by then I'm like all right. So what I was saying is your first thing you should ever do when something's not working is Command D, like always, because it tends to solve 50% of the problems, because 50% of the problems are about a selection that's not supposed to be there. Then you move forward to the next possibility. All right. Thank you for demonstrating that, Maysan. Dorothy?
Yes, I was having trouble when I was painting. The brush wasn't showing up on my mask. And then when I went to the lady, there were all these brush marks on the lady.
Okay, so share your screen.
Sure.
So that's
I
actually.
kind of took them off. I took them off and tried to start over again, but I'm just not sure what I'm doing wrong.
Well, I wish you had, Bill, share your screen in case it's still in your history, because I want to show what that is. That's, you guys, you have to be very careful to make sure that you're always in your mask. If you use these brushes to delete and you are not in your mask, you might be deleting the, can you move Photoshop in a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, let me see here.
Thank you.
Okay, you want me to go to history or?
Yeah, go into the history to see if we can find all those.
Where's history again? Window?
Okay, right up at the top. Well, there you go. See, if you don't remember where the icon is, always go to window like she did, and that brings in your history. So, no, but you've already erased your history.
Yeah, I did erase it, yeah.
Okay, but still, do you notice her watermelon is not the same as our watermelon? Can you guys see what I mean about that? Let me make sure that what I'm saying is so, and I'm just going to my watermelon. No, it does have white streaks. Yeah, I was gonna say those white streaks might still be, no, the regular watermelon does have those white streaks. So no, your watermelon's fine. Okay, so then I won't demo it on yours because you don't have it anymore. I'll demo what you're asking on mine by sharing my screen. I was hoping you still could undo it and I could show, but I'll show you guys on my screen what I mean. So guys, this is my screen now. And I just painted in the watermelon to see. I thought these white streaks might be indicative of her problem, but no, my watermelon also has it. So here, let me just put some color back in her. And what am I doing to bring all this back is basically I am painting full 100% black over all the stuff that I had before. So that's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm kind of bringing her back, right? I'm just painting black. Okay. This is how we use a mask. We never use it in this mode almost ever, unless you want to see if there's like a little mistake like that. But the way you use a mask is without seeing it. But then becomes a problem because you need to make sure you're erasing or painting on the mask, because if you paint on a mask and then you switch color, you erase on a mask, it's completely fixable. You paint it in again, right? The problem is if you ever went and clicked in your pixels because this slight subtle difference of painting in your pixels means that now if I do the exact same thing with white or black, I am painting white or black actually on my image. I have just, and I'm going to hide my mask, obliterated my actual image. These are white and brush strokes with black paint or white paint on the image. I am actually ruining, I've lost all these pixels, okay? There is no way to fix that unless if you still have it in your history, to go back on your history or to, you know, undo everything you've done, which is what I've just done here. So that click, you are, those white lines, you're selecting your pixels, you ruin your image. This clicked with the white lines on the mask, now you're on your mask, and this is totally non-destructive. You can go black, white, and be forever in safe. But if you pix on this, you're actually, it's like you're grabbing a big can of black and white graffiti paint and painting over a masterpiece, right? In the museum. It's like, forget it, you've destroyed your image. So I venture to say that's what had happened, in the sense that if you had white streaks all across her, that would have been the white paint on her. And since you backed out of that and started again, you got rid of it. Okay.
I guess I wasn't seeing, I couldn't see what I was painting. So then I went to the image or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we never work on the mask, because you can't see what you're painting, right? So you probably said, oh, let me see it. You clicked on that to see it, and then you started doing the same thing. I mean, that's why I know that was a mistake you made, because it's a very logical thing, which is why I always say when we use this tool, we don't ever, this is just for you to learn what's happening to the mask, but we don't ever paint a mask from here. The mask always remains hidden, and you always paint it here where you can see what's happening or not happening to your image. Okay.
So how did you hide the mask so you could see that?
I shift click on the mask, hides it. Shift click brings it back. Shift clicks hides it. Shift click.
Okay, that's right.
All right. And then you never, ever touch the pixels. So shift click to see again your image, shift click to hide it. But otherwise make it appear and then put the other color and make it disappear, right? Okay, cool. Liz, you had a question, and then after that, it's time for a break. So we're gonna take a break.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry. I cannot get a mask to be on the same layer as my original. Like I can add the mask layers, but I can't seem to get a mask like that. So
well, that's probably no. You're probably using the adjustment layer mask. You know, one of these guys that ends up in a different layer, right? So like one of those guys. So down when you make your mask, it has to be not the circle that's half black, half white. It's the white rectangle with a little black circle inside of it. That's the layer mask.
White rectangle.
Go ahead and share.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay. Thank you very much. That was exactly what I was missing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, cool. All right. So Ken, what's your question? And let's see if it's now or break time question.
No, it's a break time question. It's on a different. It's on the picture I've been working on.
Okay.
Of the grandfather.
That's fine.
So,
it's just that I need a bit of my break, and so I just wanted to see if it was if it's something that has to do with Photoshop. It's still fine to ask. Pull it up and then share your screen, and then if the question is completely not useful to anyone, I'll send everyone off on break.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and do that now. You guys, this is a photo that he had posted up in Padlet, and that I said I was going to teach you guys about how to make the image bigger with Photoshop, duplicating it in the way that doesn't ruin the image. So I haven't shared the image with you guys though yet. So now as we're speaking, I'm going to go ahead and share that image with you guys. because I downloaded it last week. I'm gonna put it in our files, but yeah, I haven't done that yet. So let me do that. Well, yep, you don't see it, or you don't have it.
I'm trying to do the share screen thing, but
Okay,
I'm not.
so when you share your screen, it's two sets. The first, after you click the big share screen, then you have to go to the right side, and at the bottom right, you'll see another time the word share. And you have to do that a second time. So for those of you who know how to get to the handouts, I have just put in a new image in there, which is the one that he's trying to show us. And it's called,
Grandpa M.
yeah, it's called SBCC dash PS. So it's under SB. Let me actually change the name to just Grandpa. There we go. So it starts with G, with Grandpa. Okay, so if anyone wants to go to our handouts and download this file, or for those of you who are in VDI, we'll be able to use it right now. For those of you who are on your own computers, in order to use it, you're going to have to bring it down. So yeah, what was your question?
Okay, so I tried to do some text, and but then I want to have a solid background underneath the text so it would stand out more.
Yeah. So
and
guys,
I tried to do these things. You'll see
all right,
these two hue saturation things, but I don't know. I couldn't figure out what to do.
So here's the deal. Ken is trying to do something that I told him I teach in the digital design techniques class, but he doesn't have time to come to the design techniques class. So I told him I'd show it here. So I'm going to go ahead and show it to him, but you guys are welcome to stay or not stay. I'm going to give a break time and I'm going to show him this. If you guys want to see what's happening, go do a quick break and join us again. And if not, then I'll see you guys in, let me see, 10, what time is it? It's 10:30, so be back at 10:40 a.m. Okay, so it's officially break time. So I'm going to actually stop your share and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to open your file and share my screen. That way I'll show you what to do. I don't want people to completely miss their break though. And however fascinating this is if a lot of people are interested in it, I can show everyone. It's just that I show how to work with text and stuff like that in Photoshop and in all these images in the digital design techniques class. A lot of people who take this class are more interested in pure photography. I'm heading over to the type tool right here.
Right.
And there's a lot of different ways of using this tool, but say that I decide to write, Grandpa right there. Okay, so what he's asking is how to make a background to this. So literally you have to make another layer underneath that. So in between these two, I'm going to put my hand under on background and I'm going to click down. If you guys can't see this, it's weird that you can't see this bottom row, but where I have the icons for layer, mask and everything, there's a little plus sign surrounded by a box. I'm going to click on that to create a new layer, right? And on that, I can do it this way. There's many ways to do it. Actually, there's a better way to do it now that I think about it. There's actually a better way to do it. Here, I'll make a selection like you want a line under Grandpa. So I'll make a selection where I want that color. And I'm going to do an adjustment layer. I'm going to do an adjustment layer of solid color. And this will be recorded so you can follow through after. I do a little break. And then make a color. What color would you like that to be? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then you see the text. Now you can still give this a little bit of opacity if you still want it to be a little bit like that. This is a typical ploy so that it separates it, but it's not so. Or you can leave it 100%. So this is a solid color layer. And then you can go as I thought you had it kind of subtle there if you want that kind of thing, or you can have it be completely. And if you want to change the color, you click in here again. And then you decide that you wanted it to be red or green or blue or whatever
Let's see.
color you want.
So to change the color, where did you click?
So you go back to this here to double click, and then you choose a new color.
Okay.
And you get
And
whatever color it is that you wanted. And then you say,
Did you
okay.
just draw a line? But not
Yeah,
a
so first I made a selection.
right.
I made a rectangular selection in
Right.
the area that I wanted that box.
Oh, you made a rectangular selection.
So
Okay.
this is with the rectangle tool. I made a
Right.
selection. I could have made a bigger box, for example, that big, I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
And then when you go and get your solid color adjustment layer, it asks you what color you want. I'm going to make it a bright,
Okay.
uncomfortable
Okay.
red, and I'll say, okay, and there it is. So then that selection that I made turned red. Now, up here, you can go to opacity and see that red and see through it, right? Which you can do really easily. Or you can say, oh, I didn't want red. So then you click on this thing there and double click, bring up the color and choose another color. And if you want to choose a color from the image, you put your mouse in the image and choose a color from the image. And then it kind of blends in better with your whole image.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sometimes you want something contrasting, you want something that really is part of the image. And then you do that. Now, okay.
Yeah, so you used the adjustment layer to do that then.
That's a color fill adjustment layer. You could have also
Now,
just filled it with a color, but then it's less changeable. It's not as easily changeable.
Did you choose the adjustment layer first, or did you choose the rectangular tool first?
No, my selection first. You first select what you want. So say
Okay.
that I want a whole bar on the side of this image, I make that.
Okay.
But what if I wanted instead a circle around the word grandpa? So I first make that big old thing be grandpa like that. And then I make my selection, then I make my color, right?
Okay.
And so then that's the color. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, practice it, use the recording to
Yeah.
practice this stuff a few times, and then ask me next week if it's not gelling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a couple more minutes left for us. We have 6 more minutes, so let's take our 6 minutes. Hi, Charlie. Oh, got it. So thank you, Charlie. You are Galaxy Tab A. Good. Did we change that yet, or should I change it? I don't know. You changed it already. Okay, cool. All right, break time for everyone. See you guys in a few minutes. All right, I'm back. Everyone, come on back. Let me share the screen that I was just helping Ken figure out how to do some text with some colored bars behind it.
That looks nice.
So, where am I? I put you guys on the other side. Where's my tool? Oh, here we go. I usually have the video on by the time I share my screen. So,
Deanna?
Yeah.
It's Carol.
Mhm.
I lost my my tools and my sidebar for Photoshop, and I'm not sure what I did. I was playing around.
Hit the F key, the F for fire.
Yeah, I still can't see my mask.
Keep hitting F.
F. Okay.
It cycles through different sets of tools that you might have lost. Did that work?
No, I don't see where I
Can you share your screen then to see what it is?
hopefully.
Hopefully I can see what's happening.
Maybe not. Hold on.
Oh, sorry guys, my video is still off. Not that you see much of me at this time. I've already said this is always the worst time of day. No, whatever. I have to get some blackout curtains or something to teach, but okay. Carol, what's happening? Tell me and I'll help you because
I'm having a hard time getting to share the screen. Sorry.
Exactly. But if you tell me what you're seeing, I might direct you into what's.
Well,
you hit the share screen, the green one, and then.
No, I didn't hit that yet. Hold on.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, great. So you are looking for your tools. Okay. So you are in a different, you're inside, hit escape for escape key.
Okay, hit the escape key.
Yeah. And just to see if you're in something now. Okay, so go all the way to the far right. See where you see the blue share? Okay, go to the right. There's the little rectangular icon. Click on that. And yeah, so you're in a selected mask mode. So say reset, select and mask. And now you have to leave down there, go to cancel. You're in a selected mask mode. Say cancel down at the bottom, bottom. Keep going down. Another inch down. A whole another inch down with your mouse and cancel.
It's not going any further down.
Well, then hit escape with your key.
Okay. There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
She was in this thing called selected mask mode, which I haven't taught you yet.
Not on purpose.
No, that's fine. Well, it's next to the select or select subject. There's a selected mask, and that's where you ended up with. Okay. Let's get me to share again my screen. And back to the watermelon. Okay. So we did a lot of ins and outs with this woman here. Everything we've done is completely, how do you call it? Non-destructive. So what we're going to do is for you guys to be able to keep playing with her, but for us to be able to bring the table over, we need her without a mask. So instead of getting rid of this one, because I want to be able to have you guys keep playing with this mask, let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. Okay, so it also teaches you how to duplicate a layer. So click somewhere here on this layer and be aware, look, focus your eyes exactly on what I'm doing here. When I click on the mask, the mask is on. When I click on the thumbnails, mask thumbnail is the JPEG. So you've seen that. But look what happens when I click here on just the layer. Where did the selection default to? It went back to the pixels. So then if you don't notice that and you pick up your brush and start painting again, now you're messing up the image. So be very careful before you start working with a mask, because if you happen to be here and you just click here, the selection defaults to the image. So you have to always be careful with that. All right, so now let's make sure you have the mask selected because you don't want to mess up, and then say, and have no selection. Do a Command D before you do any kind of duplicating. Do a Command D, which is, or Control D, to make sure you have no little spot of hidden selection anywhere. And then you can duplicate the layer, either for those of you who like shortcuts, Control or Command J, or right click, and one of these should be duplicate layer. Now, when you do a Command or Control J, it just duplicates. That's it. You have two of the same thing. When you do right click duplicate, then you get asked, is this the thing to duplicate? And you say, okay. So you end up with one extra little step, but you end up with two of the same thing, yeah? And now we're gonna leave the bottom one there for you to play with. And what I want us to do is go to this mask on the top layer, and you can right click and delete layer mask. And it's gonna delete and go back to being the regular background that we want. Okay, if you want to guys keep playing around, you have to turn this eyeball off, and you click here and you keep learning about masking. But then when you turn this eyeball off, this is the one that counts, and we're going to put the blue table on top of her. Does that make sense? So this gives you the best of all worlds, and you can keep playing with that if you want. But now we're back to having her whole thing. And remember what I said about, I believe Carol, Rashmi, I think Rashmi, you had mentioned why you would do, why we would do this masking. You remember I said that we could probably do better in between her arm, and I'm going to 100%. And this is what I meant in that all these little bits of hair were not there. We're just kind of blunted and cut off. And it's hair that usually shows you when a good selection is good or not. That said, when we approach this image as 100%, you see how she has like a rim of green all around her. And remember, I always told you that you need to have an image at 100%, which remember was Command 1 or Command Control 1. Sorry, Control or Command 1 in order to, I need to undo that, in order to see an image at good quality. And this image is very noisy. And noise is, this is an example. I tried to show you a noise. Someone turned on their sound and I'm beginning to get all this reverb again. So can you please, whoever just turned on their sound, turn it off again? Thank you.
Deanna, how did you get rid of that layer again, please? The layer mask.
I just right clicked and deleted it. Right click on the layer. You have to make sure you've selected the layer and then right click, delete layer mask. Now,
thanks.
When you do that, it might ask you whether you should first apply it. If it does, then no, don't apply. You don't want everything to be cut out. So then when you go to Control 1, 100%, this image has this weird little edge to it all the way around. And that's what was happening when Rashmi did her selection, that you still had this weird little edge. Now, it's possible that this is a product of the distortion of the lens. When we go in RAW, we could fix that. But the whole point is that if you're cutting her out, you would probably want to cut her out. The object, select master, whatever, is going to cut her out in the edge between that green and that bright green. But really, we wouldn't want that bright green. So you'd have to go in further in to cut that little green out and start seeing her as of just the skin color, not that weird little green line she has. Anyway. So there's ways to fix that with the select and mask. So if we get around to that, like if we had to cut her out and put her somewhere, we would want to do that, but we don't want to cut her out. We want to bring the table in here. So we're just going to have to live with the fact that this is a sample photo from a stock photo pile, and whoever did do this probably brought her in from something else and did a bad job and left that little green thing there, or it's possible that it was in the original photo, it was a blur.
Diana, I have a question. This is Rashmi. I wanted to, I mean, how do I use black or white to add or delete a portion of a layer when I can't even see what I'm really deleting?
Which is why you work in this mode. You set, meaning seeing, not in the mask mode.
Mm-hmm.
So say that I wanted to now delete again something from this layer. I first can I am putting a layer mask that's completely empty right now. I didn't do a selection. I get my brush and I start deleting here. I'll start, I have to turn off the sidewall. I start deleting something in here. As long as I'm in my mask, I'm deleting, and then I hit white and I bring it back. But if you're working in this mode, you're seeing what you're doing. If you work in this, in the mode of seeing your mask, and you just are blindly painting something here, you can't see anything, which is why I say in reality, the mask is something we never look at, okay? This is something we never look at. You always are going to be looking at your, sorry, I'm doing the Mac shortcuts and it's driving me crazy. You're always going to be looking at your image, okay? Before you do anything. And then it's easy because you see what you're doing. Say that I only wanted this watermelon here, then it's very easy to work on this mask by taking everything else out, right? Just take that out, and I'm just doing it in a very, way. And then I can just delete everything else. And there's my watermelon. If I had time to do it, I could do it better, right? Or reality says that what I do is I would first select my watermelon. In reality, this is what we do. We do a first selection of the watermelon with one of these tools. And then if we don't get it well enough, right? Say that we do our best to select this watermelon. There's a place where the selection won't be perfect. And then we might have those little fingertips or whatever. And for that, we go in and we fix that with the black and white tools in the mask. Okay. That's the best of all worlds. Okay. So now, so right now, if I were to hit delete, one more thing I wanted to show you, many times what's easiest to select, I apologize for that, is the opposite of what you need.
Yes, yeah.
So in this case, thank you. This is the opposite of what I needed. Say I really wanted the watermelon, but instead what I got is the person holding it. Remember, and I think I've shown you this before, it's very easy to invert this mask, but it was much easier to select the watermelon than it was to select the whole background. So I selected just the watermelon, and then Command I inverts the background. There's my watermelon. Of course, I didn't do a detailed job on it, but so just don't forget that masks are very easy to invert with a Command I. And I believe, can you do a right click to invert it? No, maybe mask options. No. So Command I always is how you invert it. Okay. Anyway, but right now I'm Command Z in my way out of this because I don't want, or Control Z in my way out of it because I didn't want anything. So I'm going to right click and delete layer mask again to leave this without a layer mask. All right. So we should all have no layer mask here. All right, back to Blue Table. So now you have a better idea of how to get rid of the rest of the spaces under the bottom of this table, right? Because I've shown you how we did this little bit. We selected that little bit, and you can, hit the delete key like I told you, or you can paint black in the selection. So let me show you what I meant, what was happening by mistake, so to say, to Mei-san, where she had a tiny little selection out there that was like, what's happening? You can make happen on purpose. So say that I went and select this area, right? This is like a little triangular area. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get bigger. Say I select this little triangular area in here. And as long as the mask is selected, we've been out of this for a while. So be careful you're not in your pixels, make sure that you're not in your pixels, but you're in your mask. So select your mask. This is the main mistake you can make. If I now were to hit delete, that would work. But say that you don't remember when you have white or black or whatever, what you do know is the brush. So go paint the color you want to paint. If you want it to show, it's white. If you want it to not show, it's black. And this is not something you need to memorize. Look at the thumbnail here and see, oh, the black stuff is what I'm not seeing. The white stuff is what I'm seeing, right? So that is easy, that if you want to not see this bit and you need to paint with black. So just look at this for it to be your guide, which means that black has to be up on top. And now with my brush as it is, I'm trying to paint, and see how it's only painting inside of the selection. It just won't paint anywhere else because I have a pre-selection made. Okay, so you can forget the whole delete or not delete, but what you can do is just use your paintbrush to paint in and out. So now I'm going to select this area with, I'm going to use, you guys, you can either use this one and do it by hand. Those of you who want to try out the quick selection tool, you can try the quick selection tool and see if you click down here. See, it does a pretty good job. And I think it did do a pretty good job. The only problem with this quick selection tool, and let me remind you about the geography of this table, I'm going to go a little bit higher, is that in reality, this little bit is still part of the leg of the table. You see it? That little bit. So when we went and used the quick selection tool, again, Rashmi, why the quick selection tool is limited, all these tools, however good they are, limited, it's too subtle of a difference, and it will always select it. And then you won't get that bit of the table. So how do you deal with that? You have to go and delete from that. You can go ahead and hold the Alt key and create a little area to get rid of that, because I'm holding the Alt key and I've deleted from my selection. And I can do that again over here, so you get the best of both worlds, where you have the not so sharp selection and you get to delete some of that. Anyway, I'm going to Control D. I'm showing you different ways of how to do this. I hate that I get that little under. So either that, or you can start by doing your own selection with the polygonal lasso tool from the beginning, going down here and clicking up there. And I'm going to drag over, clicking right there, because the same thing happens here, and then clicking right there. And then I have to go all the way over to the beginning and connect it right there. Okay, so now I've selected that by hand, so you can do whichever way you want. Now, either you hit the delete key to get rid of that, or you paint with your brush tool with black, right? So if you hit the delete key, you need to switch, and if you paint with black, and see how it won't go over anything else. It's only going to go into the area you've selected. So that's the best way to get rid of that, keeping your little edges. But I've shown you 2 or 3 different ways to do it. The easiest way, the quick selection tool, isn't subtle enough. So if you do a quick selection tool, you're going to actually have to go in and take that little bit of those things off from your selection. With our add or deletes, remember, if you make a selection that's like this, but it had 2 edges that you didn't want, you can hold the Option key and take a little bit off one edge like that, and take a little bit off the other edge like that. That's kind of what I just had us do down by that table. Okay. I'm showing these things, but I know you're working hard on yours, so I'm not sure if you saw it. So again, what I did is I grabbed this tool and I hit the minus key, and then I clicked a little area like that I took away. And then I clicked on a little area like that I took away, only I did it so that it was actually an exact. So this also works to take away. As long as you hit the minus tool, you're taking away from your selection. Okay. Liz, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there an option in this program to, when you're using like the what it's called, polygonal, or like the straight lined selection tool, can you hold shift or something to make sure that that line is perfectly straight? vertical or horizontal?
Yes,
or-
yes, you can, but we don't know if this is perfectly straight. So
Yeah.
yes, you can. If you hold the shift, it goes perfectly vertical, perfectly
It does.
horizontal. I don't know, maybe the person who made this photo forced it to be perfectly straight, but for the most part, lines in photographs aren't perfectly straight. So, but yeah, if you hold the shift key, you force it to be perfectly straight. Okay, so like right now, I'm holding that shift key and I can only be straight or diagonal. I can also do 95 degree, 45 degrees or 90 degrees. Okay, that's the only options.
I've been working in Procreate, so I just am like trying to get used to the differences and what tools are kind of the same. So
Most of the good wannabe Photoshop programs, or they're not wannabe, they have other stuff they do, tend to try to imitate the same shortcuts because Photoshop is the granddaddy of them all. So if you've learned something somewhere else, try it here and hopefully it's the same shortcut because really it comes from here. But yeah, holding shift key constrains across all graphic programs in the whole world. Holding a shift key constrains things to a horizontal, diagonal, or vertical, always. Okay, good point.
Deanna, this is Carol. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but when I did my mask, it's reversed to yours. The dark area is the table and the light area is.
Okay, so then select your mask, okay? And then do Command I. Make sure your mask is selected, not not mask.
Thank
And
you.
then do Command I, and that reselects your.
Thank you.
I am having a freeze, which is never good. Okay. Did I leave anything selected here? Yeah. Stuff is free. It was frozen for a minute there. It's still frozen. I'm having an issue with this image. My layers are frozen there. Okay. I had a quick select. Okay. Now, what we just had there, we had a selection. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember, but we had a selection done and we need to make sure to deselect. So if you don't like the shortcuts, select and deselect to get rid of that selection now so they can keep working. So has everyone made a hole under the legs of those? If so, I'm going to go hopefully you've moved forward, but I've been answering questions. So I'm going to go and move forward, move ahead and make a selection here. I'm going to use the same tool that seemed pretty efficient to me. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in there and put it in there and there and there and there. And then again, if the whole select or deselect the thing with the delete thing was complicated, then we do remember that we can paint. But this is the way to paint within the lines, so to say, pre-selecting the area. And that's the best of all worlds because you pre-selected the place. And then when you hit that. So again, just to check the mask, if you want to see what's happening, the lines that we made, even though I fuzzed them up, are pretty sharp. But the lines that the original selection made are not so sharp. It's not so bad up here, but down here, this is the original mask made with the selection tools, and see how it has a much more organic shape to this table. And mine is a very sharp edge to this table. So one thing you get with the quick selection tool, you get more of this kind of effect. Which one is more realistic? Well, I don't know. Let's go see. If I move up in zoom in, you can see that the table isn't, is or isn't truly sharp. Now, let me hide this mask for a second. And this is what I meant about when you have fuzzy things. Remember, Rashmi, I said when you have fuzzy things, it's very hard for Photoshop to know how to select it. So it was doing its best by choosing now and then a few of the pixels that are part of the back table. And that's why we ended up with that kind of a line. Now, as long as we're okay with the table to look fuzzy in the next place, that's fine. But if we would rather it look really sharp, then we might need to go over these lines with this tool to give it a sharper cut. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now because I'm going to move on to other stuff. But do you guys see what I mean? The difference between the quick select tool selection and mine is that mine looks in a way more fake because, but if as long as you fuzzed it, feathered it, it's it should be, a table should look like it's straight versus this that is kind of chunky. So this would be something that I would probably clean up some of those things. So remember I told you at the beginning, this lasso tool. So you can go and select some of these little bits that are a bit too much that clearly the table doesn't have, with a little circle right there. And then just hit that delete key, as long as you make sure you have black in the background. Just hit a couple of those that bug you more and hit the delete key. And the reason I'm saying delete is because delete in a mask is painting black. If not, you have to keep going to your brush and painting. So this kind of helps you fix it without completely getting a white line. And that's what I mean about going back and fixing your masks when they're not perfect. Then it looks a little bit more realistic. I just don't think these little things that jut out are very realistic. But by the time I get rid of a lot of these little ones, and this is what I'm about, making a circle around the stuff, then this and this quick selection plus me fixing it in the mask, I think is more realistic. The table was probably old and a bit pitted and stuff. This will end up looking more realistic than that line. Does that make sense? So I think the best of all worlds is the combination of, for your image, what works best. So I'm just selecting a couple of these for the example. I think it's pretty bad on this side as well. So I'm moving all the way to
Diane,
the other side right there. Yep.
isn't there, I've seen it, and I don't remember where it is. Isn't there a tool that allows you to increase the edge or decrease the edge of a mask by pixels?
Yeah, that's
And wouldn't that take care of this?
Yeah, that's the yes and no. Let me leave this how it was. Hold on. Let me Command Z and Control Z to leave this BL pockmarked for a second. There we go. So there's a tool inside of the select and mask where you can just have the whole thing. And it's actually, you can also do it now, decrease so that the whole selection pumps in a little bit. But the thing is, it'll push in within the same shape. So if you have a green line like the watermelon on her arms, then it's a great idea to have it move in a couple pixels within the same shape. But in this case, if I use that, it'll still have those jaggedy edges only further in. So although it's a good solution for some situations, as everything, not everything is a good solution for everything, but it's a good idea. Meanwhile, in this case, taking some of those jaggedy things off is all our consciousness needs to have it look like it's natural. I like it better than the fake straight line that we created down there. And this is probably a little divot that exists there on the table. And I'm going to leave that one there because that, you know, old tables get bumps and stuff like that. But what I didn't want is some of the extra ones. So again, I'm not trying to have us make a perfect selection. I'm having us just kind of try to figure out what different tools, and this table allowed us to use many different tools for selection, which is why it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and do Control minus. You don't need to have a perfect selection right now. You can go over the recording and keep working on making your selection perfect after class, you know. Right now.
I had a question. This is Ken.
Let me hold on,
Okay.
Ken, let me finish my comment, because then when people ask me questions, people can keep moving forward. I wanted to do one last thing, which is, and then we'll get into the details of this table. We don't want all the stuff that's above this table. So it could be easy to grab this marquee tool, right? And then just deselect everything and do like that. And as we said before, just like before, we could hit the delete key, right? But look what's happening to the bottom line, because this table is not perfectly lined up. See how it's not gonna easily work? I hit the delete key right now, then this would delete all of that stuff, but then stuff, let me go back to 100%. See how I'm not getting, and it might not be easy to show, but see how I'm not getting the exact place? That's all right, get near enough, right? And then we can, but I don't want to go over too far. In this case, I might have gone over too far, right? I don't want to go in and cut with a straight line. See how over here, I ended up under it. So I would never put a straight line, to Liz's question of a real straight line on this table is going to look fake. Okay. So I'm going to undo that. Let me go back to fill in my screen. I'm going to undo that. And I don't know that I've showed you overtly the history. Undoing is Control or Command Z. But if you go to this little icon here, the last thing you did, which was the rectangular marquee, the clear was the last thing I did. I go back here and I deselect, and that's another way to back off on things. Okay. So now here, what I was going to recommend is to get the big chunk out. So say you get near enough to about that height really quickly. And you then, if you have black in the background, hit delete, or if you prefer to paint, then you paint with white, and then you just kind of get rid of the easy stuff to get rid of, to just kind of get rid of it from your mask. And then we'll approach and do this with more care and more detail. So while you guys are doing that, yeah, Ken, what's your question?
You know, the space between the table legs that we've deleted into background. So I've still got the little outline of the dashed lines. So do I
So
go
Command
to
D,
my,
Command D or Control D. When you still have the dashed lines, you still have a selection. If you don't like the shortcuts, go to Select, Deselect, which is deselects, and then you don't have any more of the dashed lines are the marching ants. It's the active selection.
okay.
So you have to get rid of that selection by doing Control or Command D.
Okay, got it.
All right. Anyone else have a question? Okay. All right, then. Has everyone, gotten rid of the main part of the plant and the sugars?
Yes.
I think it's sugar, right? Or ice. I don't know. Let me approach. So let's go to Control or Command 1 and let's see where we're at. Okay. So Control or Command 1. In fact, this would have better been done masking it off before, fixing this before we did the mask, and I'll tell you why later, but never mind. Let's go ahead and Control and Command 1, a little bit closer to this. So here's the deal. We need to get rid of this top stuff, and we need to get rid of this bottom stuff. Yeah?
Yeah.
We need to make it look like there was table there. So back up again. So that we can just delete a little bit closer to the line. And then this here, we're going to have to do some pretty big retouching. So let's just get closer to that line. I'm going to approach, even if it's beyond 200%, I'm going to approach, I'm going to keep approaching. And now this is ultimately a straight line. So let's go and use this polygonal lasso tool. Remember, I have it feathered 3 pixels, which seems to be about right for this image up here. And then I'll put my mouse here and here. And this is why I'm not going to hit the shift key, because this is not a perfect line. Okay. And then I'm going to surround it until I click the end. So now that's going to help me get rid of that. And so once again, if you like the delete key, do that. If you like the brush key, do that. But basically, we're going to delete what's inside of that line. If you're totally lost, please let me know. I'll go back over this, but I'm just trying to make a nuanced line instead of a marquee line, because the marquee will not follow the edge of this table. Marquee being the one that would be forcefully right or left. So in the other case, I use my brush. In this case, I'm going to use my delete key. So I need to shift this to black background and hit the delete key. And that's exactly the same result. When I'm done, to get rid of these lines, like Ken just said, Control or Command D. That gets rid of your selection. And if I now back out, I've got a perfectly well made table, except for that I have some junk on it that I shouldn't have. Does that make sense? Okay, so
back out again.
I'm going to wait until everyone gets here and then we'll move forward.
How do you back out again, Deanna?
Oh, Command 0.
Command 0, thank you.
That's the fit in screen. Okay, so Command +++ to move in, and then Command 0 or Control 0 fits everything in the screen again. Give me a yes or tell me you're there. If everyone has the table completely cut out and the only thing left is the bottoms of the jars. So if we're completely done with the cutout, we're ready to move on to the next phase, which is retouching. So give me a yes or an okay, or, you know, thumbs up disappears, remember, but yeah, I see it. Those of you who are not answering, if you're in trouble, then say no, like it's not there, and then I'll help you. So Ken, Dorothy, Ed, Bill. Oh, Bill just answered, right? I was calling your name. Carol, oh, you have your other one on. Kareen? All right. I'm not hearing from you guys. I'm assuming you're okay?
Yep.
I deleted too much,
Mhm.
I think.
Okay.
Can
So
I share?
yeah, go. You can also undo and start again. Okay, quick share.
What happened here now?
I'm going to teach
Where?
some new retouching tools. So I'm going to make sure I get to that,
Look
and
what
then you
I
guys can
did.
work on it during the yeah,
I
you
took off
you
the top.
did. Okay, so go up to the history. Yep. That is a bit too much, right? The history. Perfect. And now go backwards to, you see how it says quick selection and deselect, right? So go all the way to your
this one,
back up. Well, we'll need to see what happened when it shows up again. So click there.
Deselect.
Well, I don't know. Keep backing up. So backing up means keep going upwards, and at some point what you did will appear. So
There.
keep going.
Oh,
Keep going, keep going. This disappeared a while ago. So keep going up, keep going up. Looks like you've left this table behind a while ago. So keep going up. Now you need to scroll up to see the rest of your history. We need to go back in your history to some place where you did a big brush tool or a big. So you kept, when you made a mistake at some point, you kept going.
I
So
know.
your history has only 50 memories, right? Keep going up.
I am.
Keep going, because there, I see it clear, all the way to the clear. Okay, one above the clear. There you go. So you need to find what, you know,
Okay,
so
just
that's,
yeah. Now what do I do?
now you have to go deselect. No, you deselect.
no.
No, go back up to quick selection. This is your history. So go one up. Close your history now. You don't need the history anymore.
Close the and go to where?
The double-headed arrows, close your history to get out of the way, because I don't want you to keep using that. So go up to the little double-headed arrows, right? No, stop, right? Yeah, that one. Like right above your mouse, right above, there's two little double-headed arrows.
I'm sorry, I don't see. Oops.
Oh, you
Help.
had, yeah, you had
Okay.
your Zoom tools right there. So go ahead and share again. When you tried to go up a bit more, you ended up saying, stop my share, because that was in the way. Go ahead and share again. Cool. Now, if you can't see that, then ignore it. Leave the history there, because if you have your Zoom tools there, it's just going to get in the way. It doesn't matter. All right. So now go grab your selection tool. So go to your lasso. Okay. Click and hold it and get the polygonal lasso tool. So go. Okay, so you've got a different one. No, hit escape. Stop moving your mouse. Hit escape. Hit your escape key. Okay, you've got the wrong tool, which does some other stuff. So now go back to your lasso tool, and you got the wrong one. Click and hold. No, your lasso tool is the one left to that. Click and hold, and it's the second one, not the third one. There you go. Okay. Now go ahead and try to make a rectangle. Put one mouse right where the table is. Make a click on the table. Not so near the, no, not so far. Go hit escape. Hit escape. You want to go right next to the hit escape. Every time you click that, you need to get out of it. Hit escape. Okay. Now don't click again until I tell you where to click. Go to right next to the flower vase. Right next to the flower vase. Now, 1/4 of an inch to the left, click right at the edge of the table. Okay. Now, yeah, now move all the way to the right. No, you're trying to make a circle, or no, right to after the sugar. Go back like a whole inch to the left, right to the right of the sugar vase or whatever that is. Yeah, click there now. Now move up to the top of those plants, kind of go up, 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 up. Yeah, click. Click, now left, and now try to join it to the first one. There you go. You've selected what you don't want. Now you can hit the, well, in order to get that, you need to switch your background, hit the X key to switch white to black in the background, and then hit your
She's
delete
also on
key.
the pixels.
Oh, thank you. On the
Oh,
right
where
side
am
on the layers, you're on your pixel. So go over to the right side on your layers.
My layers, I'm on my
Yeah,
pixel. Okay.
So good. Now hit your delete key.
Delete. Whoop.
Cool.
Okay.
Good. Now Command or Control D. Control D.
Z or D?
D, like my
D.
name. There we go. Now you're in the same place we are.
Okay.
You need.
Thank you.
Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
I'm gonna stop your share. Awesome. All right. I'm sharing my screen now. We are going to go into how do I get rid of not only the bottom of these vases, but do you see how they are casting a shadow? They're casting a reflection, sorry, not a shadow, along the table. There's a little reflection here that if I get rid of this jar, that'll look like weird. Where's that coming from? So we need to get rid of all of that. So there's a couple different ways to do that. I'm going to suggest that instead of doing this here, that we do this in the other image, only because I don't even want to, since we did the mask already, it's going to be easier to do it on the other side. Trust me, I'll tell you, just trust me on this one. We don't have enough time to explain all of the ins and outs of why, but it's easier if we have this completely cut out of its own background to fix that table. So what we're going to do next is now we're going to take this table in its final mode without its extra wall pixels to the other image. So how do we do that? One way is to click with your Control or Command key, click on your mask one time. Control or Command key and click on your mask one time.
Okay.
Do you see how you have a selection made around all your selection area now?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
No.
hold
No,
down,
I don't.
hold down the Control key if
Mhm.
you're a PC and click one time right here, one time on your mask. Now your
okay.
selection keys have your quick selection, your marching ants should have enabled themselves all around the table. Okay, now let's copy that. So shortcuts, Control copy, Control C, otherwise go to edit, copy. So the only thing we're copying, oh, sorry. If you do that, you're copying white masks. You need to go to your pixels, sorry, and now do the copy right there. So select your pixels because you want to select the pixels, the blue table inside of that selection. So select your pixels right here. And now either do Command C, Control C, or edit, copy. Now let's head over to the watermelon. I'm going to do Control or Command Z to have this empty. And now I'm going to do Control or Command V for like vase or edit, paste. And here comes my table. Did that work for you guys?
No.
My table is hiding the watermelon.
Yeah, right now this table is floating all over the place. We need
Yeah.
to place it. Okay, but do you have a table without its blue background here?
Yes.
I'm gonna clean all your feedback. So someone said no, though. Was it Ken? I didn't recognize the sound.
I said no. It's not, it's
Okay.
it's giving me a layer of the original picture without any cutouts.
Okay, so then we need to first pick up a selection again of my mask. So you go to your mask and hold the Control or Command key and click. And you need to see the marching ants surrounding your area that you masked. Then you can make sure that you're on your pixels and copy your pixels.
I see what the problem was. I thought you said to do the pixels for the copy rather than the. But
Yeah,
it
if
didn't-
you do pixels, you bring everything in again. So you need to pick up your mask by doing control click, and that is the way to make your mask back into a selection. You copy that and then you paste it in here, and you've left behind
it
all the
worked.
stuff you didn't want.
It
Perfect.
worked.
Now, anyone else who needs a hand with this? So now I'm going to grab the move tool, which is the V move tool in case you're still in some other tool. And now you can grab this and drag it down to put it in front of the lady, right? And then we see behind it, we should be seeing the grass and the skirt behind her. I know, Corinne, you still had some wall back here, but you can work on getting that cleaned out. Now, I'm going to put it a little bit lower down instead of on her fingers, because this stops looking real. And if I put it right where my legs reach, the windows are, you can see that it's just weird. So I'm going to move it a little bit further down. And now we don't care proportionally. You can see how the vase was smaller. Proportionally, this table is much smaller in the image, but once you get rid of that stuff, it's just a smaller table. Proportionally, it still looks real. Doesn't look like it's unreal. And the woman's about to put the thing. And then later, maybe someone can put in a plate on here. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we have only a few minutes left. I'm going to start showing you how to retouch this. And then as homework, I want to have people show me how well or not they retouch the stuff out of the table. Now, let's save this file, because now this is a layered file and I don't want you guys to lose any. Both of these are layered files, and then I'll show you a bit about how to retouch. But let's go to File, Save. And when you try to just do a regular save, it's going to end up saving as. So you might as well do a save as, but I'm trying to show you that the save will force you into saving as, because it has to save as Photoshop. So now instead of just watermelon, we can call it watermelon and blue table, for example. We could give it that name. And then for those of us in VDI, we need to go and save this on my drive. And I'm going to put it in my Photoshop class files and save it right here.
Where do I save mine?
On VDI, just like I'm showing you.
No, oh, sorry, I'm not.
Oh, you have your
Corinne.
own.
Yeah.
You have your own, but so you're not in
Do
VDI. Then save it to wherever it
My
automatically wants to, yeah, and it'll save to wherever it came from. So that's fine. Don't change anything. By doing save into the same spot, it saves into the same place you had the original images.
Okay.
It's only VDI people who need to shift around what they do. Okay. So they need to go save it somewhere else, but non-VDI people, you can just save it in the same place that came from. And that's the best solution. I'm also saving the table so I can save the layer so that I don't lose this mask. So now the blue table is becoming a layered file just because of that mask. Okay. So once you're done saving, let me show you what we're going to do about this. If we turn this woman off, all we really have is the cutout table. Okay. So let's do that for now, because it's going to be easier to not see what's behind. And then I'm going to Command or Control plus to go to the area that I want to retouch. All right. So notice that over here, this is very out of focus, but in the back it's in focus. So here's what we're going to do. There's, so many tools you can use to fix this with. One of the things that we can do is, remember how last time I showed you how to use the spot, the Band-Aid here, which is the spot healing tool. If I try to fix this with a spot healing tool, depending on what's happening, it might or not work. But look what we have to do to the edge. It kind of grows. See that? It just doesn't know where the edge is. So there is, I'm going to Command Z. There is a way to see if this tool will work by first making a selection of this table again so that we can constrain that that retouch to not fall outside of the edges. So how do I do that? So just like we did before, if I want to select this floating icon, Control or Command and click, and we get a marching ants around it again. See, Control and Command click of an icon always gives you a selection of anything. Good. So now if I go and move up close, then that same tool used right now will give us a different result because it's not going to march outside of its edges. So I could try to do just that with the same tool that we've used in the past, and it'll constrain it to not go outside. But there is one thing this tool is really bad at, and it's bad at working with edges. Right? So remember in the past, I've told you next to edges, next to like dark hair to light hair, this tool doesn't do that too well. So although this kind of works, it's just does that weird little thing, right? But I'm just showing you how when you have a selection, it constrains it. So I'm going to Command and Control Z a few times back to having it all. Now let me show you what actually will work. It's 11. Sorry, my alarm is ringing. So we've done all the possible things that will not work. So, if you take things gently and more carefully, it might work. This is going to be better worked with if you use the second Band-Aid down here, which if you hover over it, it's called the healing brush tool. Instead of the spot healing brush tool, which is what we used before, this is the healing brush tool. Okay. So the spot healing tool is actually, remember what I showed the little icon, the little drawing I made before where the spot healing tool goes around itself and copies inside anything that's around it that's healthy?
Yeah.
You guys remember that little drawing I made?
Yeah.
That's why it's not good at edges. It's really has a hard time with edges because you're putting that whole tool, it's not working well. So you are not choosing what it's copying from, right? You're not choosing. So if I go and try to fix this little blemish right there and do like that, it chooses something and it did a pretty good job. I'm going to undo that. See that little blemish? It figured out what to bring in and it followed that line. But you're not choosing. It does it for you. It's kind of magic. This second tool, you get to choose what it copies from. Okay. Again, it's a tool that's a brush. So you get to choose the size of that brush that you want to make. Right. So again, with the brackets to the right or to the letter P. Now I want you guys to watch this part. I'm going to get rid of that selection, by the way. Control or Command D. We don't need that selection right now. And now, we could use the selection, but I want to, it would help that selection, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm trying to show you something else. So the difference with this tool is you choose what you copy from. So I'm going to have us make another layer so that we can mess one layer up and then we can have a good one to practice on. So go over here to where we see layer. Make sure you have set Control or Command D so you don't have any selection. And now let's duplicate this layer, which remember was Control or Command J or right click duplicate. For people who don't like to Control or Command, right click duplicate and you get a new layer. Okay. So now this one, we're going to call this one good one. Like we're going to practice on that one later. We'll turn that guy off. And here we'll call learn, mess up, whatever, right? Because we're going to learn on this one first. And then you'll go and do the good work.
How did you write good layer?
Double click the word and then write whatever you want to write in there. Okay. So you double click the word and then learn, mess up, whatever you want to call it. But we want to make sure that we have a clean one for later. And then make sure to select the one that says learn, mess up and that you've turned the eyeball off of this other one. That's important. Okay, so we're working on this one. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to use this tool. Make sure you have it. It's the right one. It's the second Band-Aid, the healing tool brush. Okay, and watch. This time we get to choose what gets copied. Okay, so I'm going to actually go down a little bit and I'm going to say, I want to copy this blemish onto there. I want that line to show up right there. Okay, so I'm going to point to this line that I want. I want this line. And I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key and click. So first watch, don't try to do this because if not, it gets confusing. Hold on my Option or Alt key. My mouse turns into this little target and I do a quick little click with my mouse. That's it. Then I let go of everything. Now my hands are free. And as I move my mouse, see how I'm bringing that little bit of there, I'm bringing it over with me. It's like I'm pick that little sample and then I bring it over here. I align it with where it should be because, you know, you can see how the line, and then I click and I drag and I drop it there. And see how now I have chosen where to copy something from. Let me undo that. I'm going to do that a little bit closer up because it's hard to see. So once again, I'm going to Option and Alt and click right at the top of that. And then I'm carrying around a little bit of that image. So now I'm going to move over here where I want that image to be. I'm going to align it to make sure it's right. And then I can just kind of draw down and I'm still clicking and I drag this whole line and it looks, it's identical.
I just
Once
added, instead of making that line, I made another sugar bowl.
Okay, so Corinne, give me a second. Let me keep repeating and then you'll know. Go ahead and undo that, you know, Command Z. And then, so now notice that after I'm done, I keep carrying that guy around. If I put it here, I keep dragging because watch, what I'm trying to have you see right now is not my hand where you see the thing being drawn. I want you to look back at that original line that I copied from. Do you see that little plus sign that's moving around? That's what's being copied. I'm copying that into here. So watch, if I were to take my mouse over here right now, on Option, click on this little sugar bowl bottom, I'll bring it over here. I can start drawing another little sugar bowl right here. See that?
Yeah.
If I look and see the plus sign right now is right over my sugar cubes, way on the far right. I'm dragging without letting go of my mouse. Once I let go of my mouse, then I can click and drag again and see how the plus sign stayed in the same spot that I clicked. And thus it keeps drawing that same spot over and over again. I'm going to Command Z to get rid of that. Get rid of all my connections. Watch. I'm going to go minus. Say that I wanted to put another leg here. I click Option Command. Now you can start trying Option Command. I'm going to click this dark leg. I'm going to move over here and I'm going to put another leg right there. And I'm drawing until the leg is completed. Or if I wanted to put this leg here, I'll move over here and then I'll draw and keep dragging that same mouse up and down until I have imitated that over there. Okay, so you guys can keep, I'm going to go ahead and make another, every time I want to copy something, I have to hold down the Option key, click. Once I have that
for the PCs.
Option or Alt, it's the same key. Sorry, thank you.
So it's just Alt or Alt and Control. I'm not getting the target.
Alt, yeah. So hold down your Alt key, and then you'll get your target. Give it a second. It takes a second. Keep the Alt held down, and then you get your target, and that's where
getting an error that says Alt click to define a source at the point to be used.
Yeah,
but
so you need
clicking.
Okay, stop. You need to be on a layer. Make sure you're on the right layer, right? You have to be on a layer that has material. Then put your mouse over an area, hold down Option, and then click. You will get that message if you haven't clicked yet. So have you clicked? Keep
I
the
have,
Option
and
held
I am
down.
on a layer.
All right, so now you have to share my screen. This is share your screen. So guys, this is always oh, 11:30. Isn't this class go until 11:45?
11:30.
No,
Oh shoot, I'm sorry, you guys. In my brain, I'm going, oh well. Now let me finish this through, but if you need to leave, leave.
I can wait.
I usually try not to teach. No, please share. I'm waiting for you to share. I don't.
I'm trying. It's not sharing.
Try not to. Is mine still showing? No, it's not. I usually try not to teach new in this extra time that I offer. I am
I hit
sorry.
share in desktop or share an application.
Share the.
I'm on a.
Share Photoshop.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
The
That's why 'cause
application.
I'm in the. Okay, application.
Mhm.
Did that work?
Yeah, it's working. It
Okay,
takes
good.
a second. Okay, so go ahead and put your mouse on something. Okay, make it a little bit bigger so that you can really see what's happening. Go ahead and make it bigger, just even if in the future you want a smaller amount. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. All right, so now put your mouse over that. Now hold on your, oh, you're on a Chromebook.
I am.
When something doesn't work, you always have to explain because the Chromebook does not have the same work on the Alt. Do you have the Alt key?
I have an Alt key, but it's not working.
Yeah, it's the Alt key. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only way to make it work. Yeah, but if you're in a Chromebook, there's things that happen to you that don't happen to anyone else. The Alt key does not take a sample, and I do not know a workaround for that because you need to sample, right?
Okay.
That
Then let's
thing.
not hold up the class.
Um,
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, we would need to find in Word, there's a tool that I have to teach that doesn't have the Chromebook doesn't put that functionality. Go ahead and do some Google search and say Photoshop on Chromebook, how to use the Alt key, right? And
Okay.
see if it gives you a solution. All
You got
right.
it, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, the Chromebook has
I know.
a few things it can do when it comes to keys, and that's one of them. Karine, your hand is up.
Yeah, I'd like to share because I got stuck.
Okay, you know what? Let me just give it one example of getting through what I want us to do here, and then I'll give you a few more minutes. I do have to go, but not go right now, but I've already expanded. So really absurdly and really big, right? Brush right here. So this is the goal. I don't want, so I'm just doing this in a big manner. You would not use a brush this big, but just to give you an idea, if I sample and click right on this line, right? And I end up with, there I'm carrying some clean table without a shadow. Then I can go over here where this is, click once it aligns and then kind of drag back and forth. And it's kind of going to work, except for, look what's happening. Because I have such a big mouse, it's such a big thing. What's happening right there, right now? It's happening
It's
there.
lightning.
Well,
It's copying extra material that we don't
yeah,
want.
watch that plus sign. Where is it? It's reached the end of the table. So now I'm copying the end of that table. And then when I go to the left, wait a minute, why is the sugar cube appearing again? I thought I had just gotten rid of it. Why is it appearing again? If I had just deleted it. I have not let go of my mouse yet. And that plus sign now is where that sugar cube used to be. And I haven't let go of my mouse yet. So it's still copying from the original image. So here again, as I keep moving to the left, it keeps copying where that plus sign is now is where the flower vase used to be. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. When you copy, that plus sign follows parallel, right? So you want to try to keep your copies, first of all, as I said before, not so big, a bit more targeted. And then notice that I'm constantly going to have to be copying from this area that's good or from this area that's good, not copying the edges, not getting to the edges, right? So if I come over here, I have a bit more leeway because there's more space that's good. So if I alt copy, say from right there, where I copy from matters. I click from here, click. I know I can go to the right, but I cannot go to the left. So what I mean is, if I start dragging here and I go to the left, again, I am reaching the end, see? So I can't go to the left. So you want to make your sample in a place where you have a little bit of leeway to go right and left. So I'm going to sample right in the middle of the area. That's good. Then I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to start dragging a little bit to the right and left. And if you look at my plus sign right now, it's not copying from any dangerous area because it's not reaching the far end, nor is it going over back. See what I mean? So then I can start carrying it down a bit like that until I am done with this whole reflection. But I'm doing it all in one, I'm not letting go. Now I let go of my mouse, right? And then I try to maybe clear up this little area again, right there. And then when I have that area clean and I've let go of my mouse, now I can use this whole area to mask onto this, to copy onto this. So I'm going to click on this that I just finished. And now I can go over here and kind of paint over that. Now, depending on, you know, how I'm doing it from afar. So this edge is probably a mess right now. You have to do that at 100% to really see it well. But basically I've managed to kind of obliterate those guys. Now I'm going to Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let me go back here and all my healing brushes. There we go. Got my healing brushes. So the more detailed you are, the easier it is for this to work. I'm going to go plus, 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 plus now, which is why, yes, it would be good if you constrain this with a selection. So if I first control select this, I won't be going too far. And then I'm going to option target this little spot right there. And I'm going to bring it over here. And now I'm going to drag across this edge. Notice though, and I'm bringing some of the dark shadow there, so I need to do it again, that I brought that little line and that's going to look fake. So later I'm going to have to copy from an area that doesn't have that little line so that I can go over it. Okay. And I'm getting some of the dark shadows from the fact that it's, yeah, I don't like it with the selection. It's doing that weird thing. See how that there is the exact same line and that would look fake. I can fix that later with the healing brush tool, or I can give it another little click and up. I clicked indiscriminately. So you have to always be looking at where you're making your copies. So let me undo. I don't like what it's doing with this with the selection. So I'm going to actually undo that selection. I'm going to go back without the selection because I don't like those little edges it's leaving me. And I'm going to do it without that selection. Command and Control Z to get rid of that selection. And now I'm going to option, make a choice right there. And now this is what I'm carrying around. So I align it right here. And I can now drag down and cover this area. Okay. Once I cover this area that's bad, oh, I've gone too far, see? So I have to undo. Once I cover this area that's bad, I'm gonna go just as far as that. Then I have to deal with these things that are identical. So now I can make a smaller little brush and then cover an area that does not have this white. Cover it over so that I don't see this twice. And then I'm kind of losing that fakeness. And then I have to keep copying this area into that and then down into the reflection and so on and so forth. So by the time you're done, you can have a completely reflection-free image. I know now that I know that I'm way past time, and having assigned it as homework is kind of weird because I haven't had a chance for you guys to ask questions about what's not working. So yes, I'll assign it as homework, but more as keep practicing with it. And then next week we'll work with it a little bit more for people for whom this didn't work or this wasn't working. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry I took so long for those of you. And now I'm even going past what I thought was my time, because this is what I thought. I was finishing 11:45 and I'd go till 12. So sorry about that. Plus we have a new class starting. I have another class starting pretty soon. So
It's fine.
Thank you,
I
Deanna.
All right, have a great weekend.
have fun, play around with this.
Thanks for finishing
And
it.
We'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Have a good week.
Bye.